Good afternoon. This is Carl Murphy with the Operations Underground, and today I'm interviewing Michael Morales, supervisor in Los Angeles. Mike, where'd you come from, Mike? Tell us the Michael story.
Well, good morning, Carl. Let's see. Born in East LA, grew up in West Covina, San Gabriel Valley area before moving to Chino. I was around 97. I moved out to Chino Hills. Graduated at Yala High School at 2000. Pretty good childhood. Played a lot of sports. Basketball, football, skateboarding. Real outdoorsy kind of guy. Always interested in getting my hands dirty. So, kind of like a daredevil too. I was building ramps, busting tricks.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So you're like a skateboarder guy. You
You
can like ride a rail. Can you ride a rail?
No, I tried and then I messed up my ankle. Yeah. And then played football in high school, so I sprained my knee. Then that was it. I just played basketball ever since. You know, small leagues here and there, but nothing.
You play hoops now, or are you like in a men's league?
What's that?
Do you play hoops now, or are you like in a men's league?
Yeah, I was actually pretty good. I was known to be a spot up shooter, and a really good rebounder. I would out jump some pretty tall guys just by boxing out the fundamentals.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, I love sports.
So where you grew up, what's it like out there? Describe what's the terrain like? What's the community like? Is it like a cool place to grow up? Is it like?
Wait, what was the question again?
So where you grew up, like your hometown, like Covina and out that area, like what's that like? If you're not from around here, I know what it's like.
Oh, I'm Filipino descent. Parents born there. I actually was born here. I do speak a little bit of the language of Tagalog, but understand more.
Your mom and dad speak Filipino at home.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you grew up, like
Yeah.
that was like
yeah.
the language around the kitchen table is Filipino.
Yeah, they tried until the workforce here. Of course, they're speaking English a lot,
Right.
but they did speak to us a lot when we got in trouble.
Right.
When me and my siblings got in trouble.
How many brothers and sisters?
I got an older sister and a younger sister. Older sister is she's 42 now, and my younger sister is 37, 38.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be 40 this January.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of scary.
You look like 25. So.
I get that a lot. So that's why I thank my mom.
Yeah, nice. It's all the basketball and the easy sun out here in Los Angeles. So tell me about high school. What was high school like for you? Were you like a good student, or
surprisingly, you know what? I was very kind of quiet until met a really cool group of people who kind of opened me up, and kind of found who I am. So this was actually towards my last year, the senior year, where I kind of like opened up and I was kind of like a clown.
Yeah.
My nickname is, they actually came up with a nickname for me. It's called, my nickname is Chuckles.
Chuckles.
Yeah. I got that tattooed on me.
You really?
Yeah.
I don't, if you don't want that perpetuated here at Spiffy, we can eliminate. Okay.
That's fine.
The next time you show up at a company meeting, they're gonna have a Chuckles T-shirt for you. That's interesting. So, so now, like your senior year, what'd you do? Like you graduated high school. Then what was in store for your life at that point?
So I was actually in a home ec class. I got really into food, so I started doing that, and like towards the end, I actually got a job, like cleaning squid at an Italian restaurant.
Really?
Doing dishes and trying to see how the kitchen feels. It's pretty interesting. I still cook now.
Right.
I was actually planning on opening a food truck.
Really?
Yeah. I could throw down a little bit like that.
Nice. And so you worked at this Italian restaurant. You're cleaning squid and cleaning floors.
Like for calamari.
Right.
You're getting prepping up food and doing
What was the name of the place?
Yeah. Oh, jeez. It was so long. What is it? It's closed down. It's been closed down, but I remember it. I can't even remember it. It was so long ago.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So Italian place out there
Chino.
in Chino.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so how long did you work there?
It was only 6 months.
Okay.
It was still during the last semester. It was actually kind of like underground because I just told them I wanted to see how the kitchen feels, like, get the feel for the whole industry.
Yep.
So that was pretty interesting. Pretty cool.
And then, so after high school, what'd you do?
After high school, I took a year off. Just worked at Target. Worked my way up there. I started out as a cart attendant, and then became electronic supervisor.
So cart attendant, like you're just like pulling carts out of
Grab
the
the
parking
carts
lot?
from the parking lot, filling the.
I didn't know that was a job description at Target.
Yeah, that was pretty. It was pretty cool. Pretty fun gig. Met a lot of cool people, and then and during that time, I was doing carts. Back in the day, they had that cafe that was in there, where they make breakfast for you, fresh breakfast.
Yep.
And burgers, fries. I was thrown in that. And I started doing that. So I was like, by myself, making breakfast, hash browns, eggs, everything.
So you're like running the Target restaurant.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. That was interesting. Making my homemade, like specialty fries and stuff like that.
Yep.
It was fun. Yeah. Kind of miss me about it.
What's your favorite specialty fry recipe? What do you like? Like a chili guy? Do you like cheese
I'm a chili cheese guy.
Chili cheese, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't handle this stuff. My stomach. No, I can barely do fries these days.
Oh, and carne asada fries, actually.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I actually do half carne asada, half al pastor.
Wow. Well, it's funny. So I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles, and I just went to a concert a couple of weeks ago, actually, and I was first introduced to the street hot dogs.
They got some right here, right now.
Well, again, I don't really like, I come into the warehouse, I leave, I go someplace. I don't like drift around the warehouse, right? I found this from Chris Raleigh later, but I was introduced to the street hot dogs. And so for you who are not from Los Angeles, on a lot of street corners, and certainly around venues like sporting arenas and concert halls and that sort of thing, there's these people they basically have like a flame, there's like a propane tank and a flame basically on like a trash can top, right? There's like a piece of metal. This is not a grill. You can't buy this thing at Target or Walmart.
It's a cookie sheet.
It's a cookie sheet? Is that what it is?
It's a baking sheet.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them don't look like baking sheets. Like some of them look slightly sketchier. Like, maybe it was it was a drip pan or something. But there's like, they got this thing off the street and they got a flame on it. And on one side, they're grilling these hot dogs. And these are like double size, right? They're like normal length, but they're fat. And they'll be wrapped in bacon. And it's like the most perfect bacon. Like it's not fatty. It's like 50% fat, 50%.
And it stays on the hot dog.
And it stays on the hot dog, right? Which is the other crazy thing. Like it's wrapped around perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then there's the toppings. There's
peppers,
onions and peppers. Interesting, not surprisingly in Los Angeles, there's not a lot of sauerkraut that goes on. As an Irish guy, like I'm sort of like hot dogs and sauerkraut. But you can't get sauerkraut. I, in fact, asked the lady who made mine, I'm like, do you have sauerkraut? And she looked at me like, what? I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. And so it's sort of like, going to my hometown and asking somebody for carne asada. They're like, carne what?
Yeah.
And so, in any case, so you have this hot dog, and they're spectacular. So I had, going to this concert, I had 3. I had 2 on the way in and 1 on the way out. And they're like the best things in the world.
Yeah.
So
for the price, it's not bad. Can't go wrong.
No, and they're like $3,
$4.
Yeah, I was going to say $5. Yeah. I think the prices go up closer to the. To the
yeah, like
I was not looking for the best priced hot dog. I was just sort of like, I want a hot dog and a Coke. And so good food out here. That's certainly one of the pluses of Los Angeles is the.
A lot of drunk nights coming out of the club with those things.
I'm not going to admit to that on the podcast, but this was actually pre-concert. I was hungry, but nonetheless. So you're at Target. What do you do after Target?
At Target, I actually work for Kohl's.
Kohl's, okay.
Yeah,
it's like a retail guy.
I was a retailer, but
you're like you have like this mad mechanical skill. So tell me, so you went to Kohl's. Where did all the mechanical skills come from?
Hobbies.
Oh, didn't know that.
I actually was working on my personal car before. Did a whole engine swap. So wow. I just learned just by taking it apart, putting it back together.
Interesting.
And I had a lot of friends, with help, and
right.
Worked at a couple shops. Just to kind of feel learn from all their techs and stuff like that. So yeah, that was working on cars is just pretty much it's what I like to do.
Well, it's good. We got a lot of that around here, so it's a good fit for you.
Yeah.
So cool. So now tell me, what were you doing before you came to Spiffy? So how long have you been here?
Well, coming on 4 years.
You coming up on 4 years?
Yeah. I was with YLL before,
Right.
and then I was actually Golden Gate, where YLL was. I was cleaning and moving the cars.
Oh, they're the turnaround guys at the airport, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was doing that, but before that, I was actually working for a medical billing company, processing payments over the phone. And
this is why the administrative overhead in Los Angeles is so low, because you guys are so good at it.
I was sitting behind a desk. I can't do that. I need to be
nice.
Getting down and dirty.
But your bureaucracy out here is pretty tight, which is sort of indicative of where you came from. So you're doing turnaround at the airport, then you're working for YLL. So if you're not familiar with the Spiffy history, YLL was this company that did oil changes primarily at airports, but they did them other places, and we merged in 2019. Mm-hmm. And we had a bunch of one of the best parts was all the great people that came over from YLL. Michael's one of them, so that's awesome.
Yeah, within the first 3 months or 4 months, I was already a lead.
Yeah, nice.
Just got thrown in there and recommended from Steve, who's actually brought me on.
Right. And so tell me about, so when we put the two companies together, what was that like as a technician? Right. So you're a guy on the ground. How'd you hear about the merger? How did that go? Like I can only imagine what your was going to be.
Pretty interested in how the transition was going to go. Because we had iPads riding up the cars and how that was going to go, and like the whole technical side and all it. Like, surprisingly, it wasn't bad. It was pretty smooth.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. That was my perception, but again, sometimes in
of course there were some glitches, but that was bound to happen. But everything else was smooth. The only thing I miss now is those carts.
The old carts. Those carts are in Denver now.
I know. I miss those carts.
You have to call your buddy
we
Jacob.
We could use those carts.
Jacob could. He's not going to give them up.
I know.
So you're at the airport. You're a lead. We put the two companies together. Some of the managing leaves, right? Steve leaves. Roddy's in charge. So tell me about what that experience is like.
What transition with Steve and Chris?
Yeah, like Chris comes in, and then you're basically the number 2 guy out here now. Right? So 2 years ago, right, January of 2020, you were basically a technician.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's December of 2021. Almost 2 years later, you're the supervisor. You're basically running Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, that was a pretty quick transition, but that was just hard work paying off. Just getting what needs to be done.
Yeah.
But the transition with Steve and Chris was, I didn't want to see Steve leave, but I understand where, it had to happen. Especially when everything was slowing down at the time. I get it. I see the whole background of it, but
yeah. Well, it was interesting. So from timing standpoint, right? So we merged in November of 2019, and then in March of 2020, basically we declared merger transition over on March 1, and then March 17th the world stopped and COVID happened, right? So like the whole world.
I remember I got that call.
Yeah, and ground zero was like Los Angeles. If you weren't in, other parts of the world, like you go to some states like Florida and Texas, they sort of ignored the pandemic. Like it just didn't happen. Nobody cares. Don't wear a mask.
Yeah,
it's and we could argue about that, but that's the reality of being on the ground, right? Like in those states, it was really. And there's places where it was sort of, I would argue, North Carolina sort of a normal approach to it, and then out here in California, it's like if you had gone outside, like you're going to die of an infection or something. And then, if you're not from LA and you've never traveled out here, there's an enormous amount of international travel, right? Like, I mean, you're Filipino, right? Your parents are Filipino. They came 8,000 miles across the Pacific and settled here. And that's pretty common. And that happens every day, right? The Los Angeles airport, there's people flying in many cases, for the most part, from Asia.
Yeah.
But other places also. But for the most part, you see Chinese and Japanese and Filipinos, Pacific
Koreans,
Islanders and Koreans and all that sort of thing coming in. Whatever. I mean, you run every every nation and culture from, the Aleutian Islands to the South Pacific. You can see, walk through the LAX airport on a daily basis. And then basically March 1, it like ceased, right? And the place was empty. I remember flying out here in May, and it was like eerie. It was like Walking Dead.
I remember seeing you.
It was like Walking
What's
Dead
that?
eerie. Like you walk, you come out to the airport and like there's like nobody in the airport. Like all the restaurants are closed. You get off the plane and like you can't get a cup of coffee because Starbucks is closed. You can't go to Subway because at the airport. So I fly Delta, and the Delta terminal. There's a Jersey Mike's at a Starbucks, and so before I get on a plane and fly east, I would always get I'd get a number 8 club, and I'd get a cup of coffee because that was like that was my fuel. Or the other thing is if you come out from the East Coast, you get up on the plane at 7:00 in North Carolina, and you land here at like 10. So I just grab my lunch, and I'd literally because Zarate would pick me up at the airport, and I'd be like chomping on my sandwich on the way in, right? It was like breakfast and lunch at once, and all that stuff was closed, right? And so you go in, and there's no one there, and there's like 2 people at TSA, and it was so wild.
Yeah,
and it's funny you talk about it. Like I talked to my friends, and people just weren't traveling. We were traveling because the odd thing about our business was it came back pretty quick. Like April, it was like 0, right? And then May it came back, and that's why I was out here in May. We were trying to spin up some more business in different areas, right? We're doing trucks, and we're doing decons, right? We're cleaning buildings. If people would pay us
tires,
right? All kinds of crazy stuff was going on.
That's when I got the call back. Because do tires in Fontana.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So actually, the whole time I was off, I was able to get my car running.
Yeah. So tell me about this. So this is interesting, right? So you basically got laid off, right? So there was the pandemic on the 17th, and I think it was the 27th of March was like the day we laid everybody off. And we went from a staff of almost 400,
I heard,
to a staff of 80. Yeah. And what was that like for you? Like, how did it get handled? What did you think about it? Like, I mean, that's a traumatic event for people. I mean, there's the whole pandemic thing's going on. That's chaos, right?
Yeah.
And then you lose your job. It's like, how does that?
Honestly,
how did that go down out here?
When I got the call, I was actually just waking up because I was doing the night shifts before this whole thing went down. And to be honest, I actually kind of cried.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I going to do now? I like where I was at, and it was challenging. It was fun, and I was like, dang, I was pretty upset. But I just didn't, filed for unemployment, and I just took that time off to where I worked on my car, got it up and running, and because it was down for 2 years,
right? So
I did a whole new engine swap. So actually, that time I was able to get it started.
Nice.
So
nice.
Kind of worked out on that part. But now, when Chris sent out that group text, if anyone wants to come back, I said, I'm there. I don't care what it was, but I'm there.
Right.
So it's been uphill from there.
Yeah. It's interesting, when we were doing that and we're like making the list, it's the most difficult, depressing thing. Like you have this list of people, and you're like, who do you keep? And so we had basic guidelines, right? So this is interesting, right? We said, look, we're going to keep the GMs, we're going to keep the supervisors, and then we're going to keep like the most senior people. Like we're going to start at the top, from the top down, and if you stay, you're going to have to like change oil and work. Right? You want to be a regional manager, you want to be GM, fine. Like you're going to be spinning filters, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's going to be some business, and everyone's got to hustle,
get their hands dirty,
right? And so that was awesome, right? And then I said, look, this is the most difficult thing you'll do in your career, and you will be defined by the way you handle this. And it's, we're dealing with people's lives and their livelihoods. We have to run a business, and there's the professional side of it, but then there's the personal side of it, right? That is more important, and we have to be sensitive to that. I suffer from sort of a lack of empathy. Like every day, I have to go drink 12 ounces of empathy in the morning because, and it's just I've always been that way, and I'm not particularly proud of it. It's just something I'm aware of. And I said, look, I have this problem. We have to be incredibly empathetic to the team, and Scott and I, we're optimists, right? And so we like, look, first of all, this is like the third crisis we've been through. We were through like the 2001 tech crash, right? We went through the 2008 financial crisis. It's like our third one. It's like we're just going to pull our crisis playbook out, and it sucks. It sucks for some period of time, and it'll get better. And how we behave in this crisis is how you build a long-term team. Because again, you understood like what's going on. Hey, there's no business that can't pay people to deal with this, but how you handle those relationships with people. Chris did a great job of it, and you're a great example of like, hey, look, I'm going to go do something productive for a while this settles down. I mean, you weren't gone, what, maybe a month, 8 weeks?
I was gone for
how long was it?
About 3 months.
Was it 3 months?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, to get someone to come back after they've been, basically on ice for 3 months is, again, a huge testament to Chris how he handled that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys who are here today they were employees on March 1, 2020, and they came back, June, July, August, whatever that was. And so thanks for that. I appreciate that. It was painful during that time frame. But there's a lot of guys that talk about like, I was here before COVID.
What was that?
There's a lot of guys who talk about like, hey, I was here before. I was here. I was an employee pre-COVID, and then I either worked through COVID or I was gone for some period of time. Every city had different business profiles, and again, the business in Los Angeles came back the slowest for us across the company. Yeah, well, the state was the most rigorous about stay at home, right, and then the airport was the slowest, and then I think the Asian travel into the United States has been the slowest to recover, and so all those things drive our business, and so Los Angeles for sure. Again, the West Coast, Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, all those cities have been far slower to come back than Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, Dallas, Atlanta. Interesting stuff we had to deal with. So you get the call to come back. You're back, whatever, August, September 2020. What do you start doing?
What was I doing?
Yeah, here. What was?
I was pretty much out on the field, handling a bunch of oil changes. Before that, actually, I was doing tires at the Fontana Service Center, learning how to change out tires, from Leo. Big help. And then we started getting PDIs.
Right.
Started stripping down the cars at Somar. And then next, they wanted oil. I was banging out 25 to almost 30 cars, every time I go out there.
Yeah, per shift. Yeah.
And that
super
lot is
productive.
huge.
Yeah.
That lot is huge. Up in the hill too, so it's pretty windy up there. It was pretty cool.
It's windy and hot as Hades out there. People don't, if you've never been to the West Coast, it's interesting. You can wake up on the coast, right? Pick a town, Manhattan Beach, Santa Monica, Hermosa, Redondo, right? It's 65 in the morning, right?
Oh yeah,
and sort of misty. Like they have this thing called the marine layer, which is basically fog comes
Last
in
night.
off the ocean, right? Dude, it was crazy.
Yeah,
this morning,
it was
wasn't
crazy.
It? Like you walk outside of your house and like you can't see the car because there's so much, like you're in the fog. And then you drive, it's not that far, like 15 miles, right? And you're basically in the desert, right? You go to Pasadena or there's like Somar or what are some of those other places?
Victorville.
Well, that's even, Victorville's like almost Las Vegas.
Palm Springs
and Vegas, yeah. And it's like 30 degrees hotter, right? Like the guys come to work and, they got a jacket. They leave the warehouse with a jacket on and they end up in Victorville where they're like nearly.
With their shirt on their head.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're like, they got a.
I got darker. I had a really bad tan.
Well, it's blazing heat. And one of the challenges around here is that we work outside, right? And so, whether that's the heat of Victorville, California, or the cold of, Denver, or Rochester, New York, it's a challenging part of the business. And so, again, a constant of guys that hang around here is they sort of can roll with it environmentally. We had this, we started doing business in upstate New York, and last winter, in fact, we washed cars all winter. We were cleaning trucks, getting the salt off them. So we had this contract with this big company to wash the truck and then to get the salt off. And we're doing it on a wash mat. And so we had these customized heaters and all this other stuff going on. And going in, I just felt like we were going to churn employees all winter because they're like getting wet. And Rochester, New York is basically the Arctic Circle. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nasty cold place from a
I
weather
heard.
standpoint. And the guys, like we started in October, November, and we had the same guys washing cars in April, and they didn't care at all. Like, it was like, just take it in stride, right? And you go to North Carolina, it turns 25 or 30 degrees, and guys quit because it's so freaking cold. So it's interesting to see that.
Yeah.
So you came back and you're changing oil. Have you ever done wash detail? It's like you're like a YLL hardcore mechanic guy. Have you ever done any of the wash detail stuff?
I actually have. I went out with Max, which is the Power 100.
Yeah.
He showed me on a few things, and some of the other seasoned guys who do details, they showed me what to do. And like, I think I went out with Max that did an awesome detail in Manhattan Beach one time, and it's actually it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we gotta get you programmed into the whole detail side of things. I don't know. So Zarate doesn't want to do that. He's like, you're too busy for that stuff. So
yeah, fixing it. I got a lot of like a challenge with the VMAC in San Diego. I got it all fixed, ready to go. So,
yeah, for those of you guys who don't know, Morales is our West Coast mechanic. He travels from basically Santa Barbara to San Diego, fixing our gear, keeping it up and running. Hey, so we opened up San Diego, so you're a big part of that. What was that like for you?
It was interesting. I wasn't there with the start off of the fix site. Derek was there mostly, and I was pretty much, and Chris was there because I was running here. But the challenging part right now is getting them filters.
Yeah.
I think we had a separate pallet or a separate order just for them to get shipped to them instead of us traveling.
Because we're shipping them down there. Yeah.
That's the biggest challenge right now, but it's working so far, and getting them rags, whatever they need. But it's working. I'm making it work around, make sure everyone's taken care of first. Yeah.
So as a supervisor, what do you think is the most difficult thing you have to deal with or do?
I would say scheduling with the BDCs.
Mm-hmm. The consumer.
I didn't have my laptop yet, so I would have to come back here. Or if I'm off the clock, I'll come back and double check who I could sign the BDC to. And I always, I apologize to those SEC people. Like, bear with me. I gotta go back. I'm in the field. I'm not at the computer. I don't have my laptop yet, and just trying to work with them, make sure the requests get filled.
Right.
And
you have your
staffing.
You have your laptop now.
Not yet.
You don't.
It's on the way. But
always these things I find when I come out to the field. There's always these things I find when I come out to the field, right?
No, but Ariana, she already shipped it out. Probably end of week. That'll be a big help.
So the scheduling of consumer stuff is the most difficult. So is that because it's randomly shows up, or it's sort of like a low volume for us because we're such a maintenance heavy city, or what makes that hard?
Since we're like a lot of the fleet, we got to cover, and then just randomly, we get a B2C request. It's kind of like, who do we have? The staffing part is kind of challenging part too. Is which is the right tech I could send out? So I don't want to get any callbacks.
Right.
Of this wasn't clean, this and that, and but so far it's been working.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work with the SEC a lot more. Trying to make sure I get back to them in a timely manner, because I know they have a certain window to confirm it.
Yep.
So I've been on top of that. So it's actually been working a little bit better.
Yeah, so it's interesting. When we started the company, the vision was every technician can do all the services that we deliver, right? And as we've built our business, we have so many different things we do now, and we're growing so fast that technicians tend to have one area of expertise. Like, I'm a wash detail guy, or I'm a lube tire person, right? And then there's some like the most valuable guys can do anything. Right? Like, just they show up, give them keys in a truck, and they move out, and they come back 10 hours later, and they're like generating all kinds of revenue and happy customers, right? And so I think that's one of the challenges we have as we get bigger is continuing to broaden the skill set of each technician so that they're more flexible for you, right? Like, so I just have.
Yeah, but if I need to, I'll do it myself. Yeah.
Yeah, so. Which is, I think, one of the most valuable qualities of a supervisor is like, I'm just going to go do it. And I can pick up the extra capacity, or I can go be a leader out there in the field and do 30 oil changes or 3 or 4 details a day or whatever it might be. So what do you like most about being a supervisor at Spiffy? Like, what's the thing that gets you excited? Like, oh, I love doing this stuff here.
What I like most is I try to motivate the guys. I try to see when they check in their vans and kind of see where their head's at, and try to lift them up a little bit. Like, don't worry, don't worry about your hours. I'll get you hours. Just bear with me. I'll make sure you guys get your hours. That's one of the main things. Is I need hours, this and that, and trying to schedule them. Trying to break it up evenly. And I actually, when I'm writing up the schedule, I actually call. Okay, I got this in. You want to come in? Kind of give them the option a little bit. Like, I got a BC request, and then I got some oil over here. Can you take care of it? A lot of times they say yeah. So it's just more personal. I contact each and every one of the techs to make sure they're comfortable. I don't want to throw them out there if they're not comfortable doing something.
Yeah.
So it's actually been working out really, really well. But just more the supervisor part, I kind of like, they know I'm the supervisor, but I still make sure I feel like I want them to feel like they could still come to me on a more personal basis or whatnot as a friend or, just whatever they need.
Yeah. So, yeah. I like when I talk to managers in training, I like to say, like, I want Spiffy to be the person's safe space. Yeah. Everybody's got so much noise in their life. Some of it's really loud noise. Like they got family problems, or they got kid problems, or family and kid problems, or they live in a tough part of town, or whatever it is. Like, there's this whole story of life that's really hard for folks. And like, when they walk through the doors and they put on their black polo shirt and they put on a baseball cap that says Spiffy, they should, like, this is my safe space. Like, I'm treated with respect. I get my hours. Like, I get paid when I get paid fairly. I have a career path here. I don't think we do a great job of. I'm working better at, or I have several initiatives to better communicate the career path. As you talk to guys like you and Max and the Maxes and the Mikes in every city, you guys are here for the career, and a lot of the young guys don't necessarily know what's available to them, and we have to do a better job of talking to folks. Actually,
off of that was after the leadership training, I kind of told them about that. Like, don't feel like this is just a job. Like, you could actually grow with this company. Like, you want to be where I'm at, put in the work. Show that you want it. Just come and get ready to work.
Yeah. Well, and you've heard this because you're a supervisor, but I do recruiting too. And people ask, well, some new person who wants to come work here. I was like, what's it take to be successful at Spiffy? And I will say, show up on time in uniform and care. I said the caring thing is a little like, there needs some more explanation, but the first 3 are sort of the hard part, like just show up on time and hustle. And then like the caring is, don't speed, take care of the customers, be nice to your fellow employees, pick up after yourself.
Take care of your tools.
Yeah. Take care of your tools, wipe up, this is all this like simple stuff, your mother doesn't work here, right? She's not here to like do your laundry and make your bed for you. You need to do your own laundry and make your own bed, so interesting. So what is like the wildest thing you've seen happen at Spiffy?
Wildest thing?
Yeah, wild, crazy. Like, this is like wackadoo.
Was, I think we had over like 300 PMs at the Angel Stadium, and we had
those were all in fleet, right? So we had a client who bought a bunch of new cars, and they wanted enterprise. Yeah.
So, and the craziest thing was they needed it done at a certain time, and we did it.
Yeah.
So I had all the vans there, all the guys knocking them out, and that was pretty interesting. It was challenging too, but Chris wasn't even in town, so I was running the whole thing, and that was the craziest thing I ever done. Like trying to run the whole team and make sure the customer's happy, and we got them all done. It was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of that at Spiffy, where there's like everybody in the city is working at the same location at the same time. We sort of, people come in the morning, and cities start between like 6 and 9, and to car, at any given time, there's 1 or 2 guys getting their trucks and heading out. But there's just sort of this. It's cool we have these big jobs where you can put a bunch of guys together. It's like, you got a basketball team or a football team going out there to win a game, sort of feeling.
Yeah.
And it builds some good camaraderie too.
Like, it's kind of hard with like doing pre-shifts because everyone starts different times. So I actually get with each and every tech. I'll tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
Tell them what I need. Tell them what they need to do. Every time before they leave, call me if you need anything. It's all like
good communication. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we're trying to get better about the technology in Conductor. Conductor being the software system that runs our business. We're trying to have more tools in there at a city level that are easy to use for guys like you to communicate to people. Like, hey, here's the baseline information that applies to everybody today. And then, Truck 101, Joe, you can deal with those one-off issues. We're, as a business, we're so focused on taking care of the customer. We offer a lot of customization. And so there's always sort of these one-offs.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're going to this location, here are the specific issues on where do you operate and what to not do so you don't get in trouble. Because, again, we generally operate on other people's properties.
Yeah.
It could be your driveway of your home, or it could be some business's parking lot, or it could be a garage, or it could be any number. It could be an airport, right? And so then all these people have all these there's security, and there's people who are concerned about it. When you start sucking and pumping oil and spraying foam and running compressors, people get all, we're not a low impact, right? When we show up, like, you sort of know we're there. So it's interesting. That's a big part of the supervisor
especially
job.
downtown. There's like no parking.
Right, or some of those parking decks where the clearance is like 6 feet to I have a truck that can get in the building, sort of thing. So cool. So you've been here a couple of years. You're a supervisor. What's like the future look like for you? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Do you want to stay at Spiffy? Do you want to go do something else?
Oh yeah. This is a career for me now.
Yeah.
See how fast we're growing, all the revenue right now, how busy we are. My next step is GM.
Outstanding.
Less off Chris's plate, like out of which I'm doing now. Like anything I could do, whatever he needs, I'll take care of it. So
outstanding. Yeah, and again, we're putting a lot of effort into helping train and provide the tools for guys like you to get to the next level and be super successful at it. Right?
Yeah,
be super successful at it. So, what questions do you have for me? Do you have any?
Are we going to expect more vans?
That's a good question. So we are looking to buy between 50 and 100 vans for next year, right? So some of them are in the pipeline already. We're expecting like 40 before Q1 or within Q1, so January, February, March. And then we've got some others on order. For those of you listening, it's late 2021 and there's a automotive chip shortage and there's a van shortage, and companies like Amazon and FedEx are buying the same vans we are, so we're competing with big guys for resources that are out there. So we've had to scramble pretty aggressively to find stuff, and we've been successful at it. So I think from a budget standpoint and a business standpoint, we're looking to add about 100 vehicles next year. That's the current plan, and so you should start seeing those. You guys have some vans scheduled. I think one's scheduled for the next week or two before Christmas.
Is it a high volume van? You definitely need an extra one.
Yeah, they're all going to be high volume vans.
Oh, okay, cool.
High volume combo vans. It's like the standard sort of.
I know when Aaron or Brandon told me that if to fit our vans currently, I'm like, send me the stuff. I'll do it.
Yeah. I know we're trying to like centralize that so they all look the same, and we've talked about moving and having multiple production facilities for them. So for right now, they're going to send it to you. We'll see. So here's a question for you: if you were me, right, you ran Spiffy, what would you do differently? What would you change?
I know it's tough, but I'll say more interaction with the techs. See where their heads at. Because we tell them, "Oh, Carl's coming to town," and they're like, "Who?" Some of them know, but the new guys don't really know. But I just want them to know that, you can still come to him. If that were me, like, call me if you need anything.
Yeah.
Like, but.
Well, it's a big part of the podcast. They can listen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. That's why this is actually pretty cool when I found out. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, so I do
get to know you better, which I enjoyed. It was cool. I like this.
Yeah, so Michael just came back from training about a month ago, right? He spent a whole week in Raleigh. It's like a 7 or 8 day training program.
Yeah.
Most of it is there's some technical, like how to, the standards for our procedures and processes, but a lot of it's management training. Some of it's communications. We do 3 dinners. One sort of like a formal, one sort of like informal, and then there's sort of like just go to a sports bar and drink beer and talk trash. And so but it's really good. It's very good from a standpoint of building relationships across the team, and it really helps people see Spiffy as more than just a job, as a career path, and
exactly.
more than just someplace I get a check from, and I get yelled at every now and then for speeding, whatever sort of that stuff they're doing.
This is all true.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that training, especially meeting all the new guys, all those guys up there, Charlie and Jim and Jamel,
Darian, all those guys.
Jim, regional now, which is awesome. Congratulations to him, and see where everyone's at.
Yeah, and so it's interesting. So if you're not from Spiffy or if you're new, our management training program, we put all kinds of managers in, right? So you can be a 22-year-old, 1 year at Spiffy, sort of new supervisor, or you could be, Mike's talking about this guy Jim, who we hired, who's a regional manager, right? And he had 30 years experience in the industry. Yeah. And so you got all these guys sitting around the table, and everyone brings different skills. So it's really interesting, right? So like, a guy like Jim will really get excited about talking about management communication and how to coach people for high performance, and how to talk to people about difficult topics, like, they're not doing a good job, or they're late, or whatever that sort of stuff is. And then you get guys like you get out there and like, well, how do you get a filter off of the an Audi A7? Like, oh, it's right here. Like, here's what you get. Hey, be careful of this. And so there's this deep technical knowledge because you've changed 5,000 oil changes or whatever it might be. And so it's really cool to see all that stuff go on. And we've actually gotten better as a company. We have more student-led components of the training. Like if you saw, there's like different modules we let people train. They run the program themselves, and the trainers just are sort of facilitators versus sort of like stand in front of the class.
Tolzman did awesome.
Yeah, no, again, Mike did a great job with that, and it's a huge investment. We had like 11 guys in the class for a week. We fly them in, and costs a ton of money, but it's one of the most impactful things we do for growing the company, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. It was sort of we started doing this like 2.5, 3 years ago, and it wasn't an afterthought. I just never thought it would be as important as it is, but it's turned into be such a good thing for us, and so we're fired up for that. We're good. Do we have anything else? Anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to share about Spiffy?
No, actually, first time meeting you, I was actually afraid of you.
Come on, why is that?
I don't know. You're just, I guess you're busy. You're in and out really quick, and you're actually cleaning the warehouse. You're like, man, this place is a mess. There's oil everywhere. I was like, I know. I'm sorry. I was getting to it.
That was right when you came back, wasn't it?
Yeah. I keep telling these guys to clean up after themselves, and from then on, just seeing you actually getting your hands there, I was like, okay.
Was that the day I tore apart all the detail boxes?
Yeah, like you're in the oil everywhere. You're all over the place.
I remember coming in and I'm like, Chris. I said, Chris, it's been challenging. Like, yes, it is, Carl. I said, okay. I can't take the warehouse anymore. Like, I'm just sitting on it. Like, I got to go do some stuff. Because I normally come out for sales meetings or whatever management meetings. So I said, I don't have any meetings. I'm just going to go clean the detail boxes. No, you need to bear with me. Like, don't lose your mind. I don't want any help. Don't come help me. And I encourage you to keep the guys away. It's just going to be pretty therapeutic for me. I'm going to clean the floor.
No, I get it. I do the same thing.
Right. And I tore apart the lock supply room. I'm like, and I think it started with, I was looking for a socket. It's like this kid came in. He's like, hey, my power washer doesn't work. And he had pulled the cord out. Right. And I said, well, I'll help you fix it. I know how to do that. He looks at me like, really? You know how to do that? You're like, you got a button-down shirt on. Like, you don't look like the difference between a wrench and a screwdriver. I said, I can fix it, dude. So I go into the room and I couldn't find the tools, so I'm pissed off. and this whole thing goes down like I showed up at like, I don't know, 7 o'clock or something. And Chris was doing something else and he showed up and he's like, what happened? It was all the stuff that went down at the end of, it was sort of like COVID happened and people were scrambling and we were running super lean and so we were like not cleaning as much and just those things happen. You know, that's like operations reality, right? When you, I remember, you know, Los Angeles was running as a percentage, the profit numbers were pretty high. You know, and you show up at like the place is just a disaster, right? In the warehouse, nothing's clean and the trucks are dirty and the towels and the floors and, you know, and so it was this reality of, you know, what happens when you manage numbers so hard and how do guys get successful like that, right? And you got successful by like not doing some stuff and just doing, I'm just going to do services, right? I'm just going to go take care of the customer. And surprisingly, like none of those things actually manifest themselves in front of the customer. Like ratings are still high and the fleet customers are happy. But like I just showed up and I'm like, this cannot, I just am no longer proud of Los Angeles. And so, and I've always said, like, I love the culture out here and I love what Chris has built out here and the team and to see that. And so, and this went on for like 2 days, right?
Do that. I actually start picking it up more and start organizing it a little bit better and make it easier for if they need something, they know where to find it.
Well, you know, and the other thing that set me off was like, and we've gotten rid of this problem because we buy rags now. You know, so when we used to be a car wash detail business, right? And towels are like gold to a car wash and detail, right? You know, a detailer, and you want clean towels, and you want microfiber towels, and we use terry cloth for some things and microfiber for another. And here at Spiffy, we have them color coded, right? Like reds for body and blues for windows and all this other stuff. I remember reaching into the towel, the clean towel container, and then I picked up a red towel, and I'm like, God, there's like grease on these towels, right? Because guys, the mechanics were using the red towels for cleaning up messes, right? Basically oil and grease. And I'm like, these are towels, and not rags. Well, then they put them back in there. We'll just wash them. I'm like, dude, like you put oil on a car wash towel, like it's dead.
It's done.
Like it's a rag. Like, throw it away, get rid of it. And so then I'm like tearing through the stuff and the towel. So there was the power washing thing with the socket. I went into that room and then there's a towel. All that stuff happened in like an hour, right? And the poor thing, you know, the worst thing for Zarate was he wasn't here, right? So it's like me and a couple of techs, right? And so it was chaos. And so, and the end of that was we redid all the detail boxes, we did all the towels. I placed an order for towels for like, it was like $3,000 for the towels. I called and somebody in the headquarters was like, did you mean to order $3,000 worth of towels? I'm like, yes. Why are you questioning me? Well, we haven't ordered towels in Los Angeles in 12 months. I'm like, I know. That's why we're buying $3,000 worth of towels, because these are nasty. Like I've just purged the whole thing. We're starting over. I said the towels, you know, the towels are the beginning of our retrofitting or wash detail business out here because I've just had enough of this.
I've been on top of the towels from like
stuff looks great. God, I forgot about that story. That's funny.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I was like, okay, he's getting down and dirty. That's what I like to see.
Yeah. Like, well, I think it's, you know, we talk about this in training. You know, the culture here is important, and a big part of our culture is, you know, frontline leadership, right? Like, you know, your GM, you know, Zarate can change oil. He can wash cars, right? I'm the president of the company. I come out, I can change oil. I can wash cars. I can, you know, I understand what the different towels are. I understand how the trucks work. And I can, you know, again, you, Max, any of these guys out here are probably for certain more efficient at it than I am on a day-to-day basis. But you know, I can go get in a truck and go, you know, I can go execute a day's worth of work. It might be a little slower, but for sure, I can go make that happen. And so
you get your rhythm.
Yeah, well, it's right. Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. Hey, so for the recording, I'm going to say, hey, Mike, tell me, do you remember when we first met? Like when we had a conversation? Put that before. So, hey, Mike, when did we first meet? Put that, and then Mike will talk about the towel detail box story, and we'll edit those in. So, what other good stories you have?
This is when actually the very first time I saw you was at the airport. You were with Zach. Zach came up.
Oh, that's right.
you were just walking. You had your suit. You had your little
Briefcase.
suitcase, and
Yeah.
I guess you just landed. And
That was before we merged, right?
yeah, it was like right at the start of it.
Yeah, and it was at night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like
I was closing,
8, 9
I was
o'clock
closing.
at night.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, there's the big boss. There we go. And I was gonna go, say hi, but you guys Zach just had to grab something. You guys had to head out. So, but
Yeah,
that
well,
was
so
actually-
that was, I had to go on a tour and inspect all the facilities for YLL before the merger happened, right?
Yeah.
And so we flew to the West Coast. So we started in San Francisco, then we came down here, and then we went to Denver, and then we went to Florida. And Zach was concerned about it not happening, so he didn't really want to introduce me to people, but then I had to show up and look. And so there was this, how do we go do this? And I said, I don't know, whatever you want to do, let's figure it out, right? And so I think he was caught off guard when you were there. He didn't think you'd be there.
Oh yeah,
because he thought you had closed up.
I just got done with cars, like
right, but you were so busy. He's like,
yeah.
oh Jesus, these guys are supposed to be closed an hour ago, but they're so busy they were banging out another 10 or 15 cars, which was awesome. And so it was interesting. So that was the first time, and then the most impactful was after he came back after COVID when I tore apart the warehouse.
Yeah, that was fun. That was actually a good time. Yeah, like just getting to know you more. It's just actually, I feel like I could come up to you, ask you anything.
Well, I appreciate that. That's that's the way it should be. Scott's like that too. I think. I get like people coming to the company. It's not like that everywhere, but we really want it to be, a team and a family, and we want people to be able to make a great career here. And if they got problems, like hey, what's this? Hey, I think this is jacked up, and we should do it differently, or I've got an idea about this, or whatever. And it's that sort of access and that two-way communication. I think that keeps people around, and it keeps people around for years. We're like, hey, I feel like I can go to work there. That combined with the whole again, I call it like a safe space. Like this is your your utopia as an individual. Like you can block out all the noise in your life and just come to work and bang it out. And for the most part, we have good customers who are pretty appreciative of the work we do for them. Whether it's car wash detail, oil change, whatever.
That's why there's a higher demand for us.
yeah. That's why we're busting at the seams right now, for sure.
So that's what I'm trying to do with one of the techs in San Diego. He has potential. He's still a young kid, but I try to tell him how I came up.
Yeah.
Try to do what I did. So you want to be where I'm at? I'll walk you through it. I'll help you, guide you, but you got to put in the work.
That's awesome. Hey, so we're coming up on our hour, Mike. Mike, I want to say thank you to Mike Morales for your hard work and giving me an hour out of your day so we can talk about your experience here at Spiffy. And we're excited to see you have another couple more years here.
Yeah, many more years.
All right, man. Hey, so this is Carl Murphy with the president and co-founder of Get Spiffy, and this is the Operations Underground, and we're done. See ya.